What's going on guys, it's the Filthy Casual, back with another Diablo 3 video. Today we're looking at a T13 speed farm build for the Barbarian. It's fast, it's invulnerable, it's loads of fun to play. This is the spin to win, Season 16 Barbarian. And the setup is really flexible, you can tinker with this a lot, there's lots of swaps that you can put in and out, and that's one of the things that makes it quite good. My Paragon is sub 700, my gem levels are nothing particularly special, I don't have any augments. And probably only about half of my gear is ancient. I'm absolutely flying through T13. The only requirement is you have to gear for CDR a little bit, aiming for 50%, and the nearer you can get to that the quicker you'll be, but it's by no means essential. So let's get into it. We're going to be using the Wrath of the Waste set. The 2-piece we don't care about because we're not using Rend. The 4-piece gives us a 50% damage reduction whilst whirlwinding. The 6-piece gives us a 10,000% damage increase on Whirlwind, and we also gain the Dust Devil rune. So we get tornadoes that fly out as we spin around, and that's pretty cool. Extra damage simply for free. Now the base Whirlwind will move at 100% move speed, so whilst you activate Whirlwind you go twice as fast. And the rune that we're picking is Fire, simply because it does the most damage, but you can go with the Cold rune and that will pull enemies in from 35 yards and make it a little easier for them to hit, but the Fire one does the most damage, which is why we're going for that. Just remember, whichever one you decide to go with, roll your braces with the same elemental damage on. Unlike myself in the footage where I've forgotten and I've left on my lightning nemesis braces from playing around with my charge barb. And another item that makes this a whirlwind build is the Bulkathos blade set. That's going to give us a 45% attack speed as well as a 45% movement speed whilst we're whirlwinding, and also importantly gives us 15 fury generation. So when you put these weapons on, your fury meter fills up, and fury really isn't too much of a problem because of another mechanism we've got in the build, which I'll get to in a little bit. So let's talk multipliers. You've got Skull Grasp in the cube for an extra 400% whirlwind damage. You're also using Focus and Restraint, so 50% procced by Whirlwind, and the other 50% damage increase is going to be procced when you use your weapon throw. I've picked this simply because it's ranged, so you can chuck it at somebody from a mile away. You can put any generator in you want, but I just find that the range skill is the best. I've gone for the rune that gives 9 fury rather than 6, just to make sure that there aren't any fury problems, but really the rune's immaterial, it's not doing any damage. So there are ways to increase the damage, which I'll get onto in a bit, through the legendaries and through the passives, but if we just go on to the invulnerability that I mentioned at the start, I'm sure you've guessed we're going to be using the Boon of the Hoarder and Goldwrap combination. So this means that we can stand on explosions and pick up the DBs without a care in the world. Now moving on to speed, obviously we get a 30% move speed buff from picking up gold with Boon of the Hoarder. Pickup radius is quite important for this build. If you can get it, then again you're just going to be quicker and find life a little bit easier. You're also going to have 20% increased move speed whilst you've got Wrath of the Berserker up, and whilst we're on this you're going to get 50% damage increase for the Insanity rune, and you also get increased crit chance, dodge chance and attack speed. Now it's on a 120-second cooldown, you'll be taking 30 seconds off that with the Boon of Bulkathos passive, and if you've got about 50% CDR then it's going to be up around sort of 30-40% of the time, which is still fairly decent. So other things that make this build absolutely rapid, we're going to be using Sprint with the Marathon rune, so that's 40% increased speed for 4 seconds whenever we pop it. You've got plenty of fury, so you can pop this every 4 seconds, no problem. We're also going to be using Warcry. We're going to be picking the Charge rune just to make this essentially a massive fury potion, but we're also going to be taking Chenelix Chain in the cube, and that's going to give us a 40% move speed buff for 10 seconds whenever we activate Warcry. With 50% CDR, this will essentially have permanent uptime because your cooldown will cut this in half to 10 seconds. That's exactly how long the buff lasts. And it's also great because it means you're not going to have any fury problems, because every 10 seconds you're getting an extra 50 fury. Now another skill that we're going to take to improve our move speed is Ignore Pain, and this only lasts for about 5 seconds, but again with the Bravado rune it'll give you a 40% move speed, and also it'll knock enemies out of the way and it'll make you immune to CC just in case your Wrath of the Berserker is not up at the time. You'll get a 50% damage reduction whilst it's active as well, but given that you're invulnerable you don't really need it, it's just simply there for the move speed. So other items in the build, we've got the Nemesis braces. These are absolutely crucial to any speed build for T13. More rift progressions to quicker keys, and also more elite enchant packs and more DBs. Don't listen to anybody who tries to give you a speed build without these, they're just absolutely out of their mind. You could argue for Warzeki arm guards because you'd be smashing stuff with your Whirlwind, but to be honest, Nems for me is a definite choice here. But swap them if you want, up to you. We're also taking the Furnace in the cube, so we're going to have 50% damage increased against elites. Now, I'd like to juice this setup a bit more, but you certainly could try swapping in an Ingerm here. It's not going to give you any more damage, but it's going to give you more uptime on Wrath of the Berserker. It's going to give you more uptime on your movement ability skills, so you'll be able to press Warcry definitely without any problem, albeit if you hit 50% CDR it's not so much of an issue, but what it will do is it'll mean that you'll be able to use Ignore Pain more often. But I personally think that the Furnace is probably the way to go, but it might be worth some further testing. Now in the cube, instead of the Channel X Chain, you could take a Lyoric's Crown to juice up your CDR, you could take a Mantle of Channeling to get 25% increased damage, you could even take a Pride of Cassius to maybe extend the duration of Ignore Pain, but to be honest I think this is probably the best way that I've come up with putting the build together. You've just got so much move speed all the time, the only issue you have is occasionally missing stuff because you don't have time to pick it up because you're moving that fast. Now, one of the important items, and this is one that you can squeeze in because you've got the RORG buff for Season 16, is you're going to be wearing the Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan. And what these do is they give you 25% damage increase and also increase your resource generation. Now, if you're playing non-season, I'd probably drop the belt out of the cube and put these in there because you're not going to want to give up one of your ring slots, so you're going to have to take the full 6 pieces of Wrath of the Waste. So the Hexing Pants would go in the cube and you'd lose a little bit of speed. Again, by all means you could play around with this, you don't have to go that way. You could leave the belt in and just sacrifice the 25% damage. You should be fine on Fury given the Warcry rune that you've got on, but again it's up to you to have a little bit of a test. This is just the fundamentals of the build and what I prefer. In terms of legendary gems, we're going to have Trapped, which is more damage, so the secondary procs the primary. You're going to be taking the Boon of the Hoarder for the gold to make him vulnerable with the Goldwrap and to proc the 30% move speed. And you're also going to be taking a Taeguk, which is just simply more damage, to 10 stacks whilst you're whirlwinding. And you only briefly stop to throw your weapon throw, so this is up all the time throughout the rift. Again, you can play around with these legendary gems. You could try Wreath of Lightning if you wanted, you could try a Bane of the Powerful, or maybe even Gogok of Swiftness for more attack speed and cooldown, but this is the 3 that I'd probably recommend going with. So to summarise, you're going to be taking 6 pieces of the Wrath of the Waste, you're going to be wearing the Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan in Season 16, in the cube you're going to have the Furnace, Channel X Chain and also the Skull Grasp, and the other 2 rings are going to be Focus and Restraint. So that just leaves one last item, which is going to be your Hellfire Amulet, and you want one of the following passives. Now bear in mind actually I'm on hardcore, so I have to run Nerves of Steel because there's no way I'm dying on T13, but assuming you're playing softcore, you don't need that. What you're going to be taking is Ruthless for more damage against enemies against low health, Berserker Rage for more damage at max fury, Brawler for more damage against enemies that are close by, Rampage for more strength because you're going to be killing stuff really quickly, and then the last passive you want to be taking is Pound of Flesh for more move speed when you collect up health globes. Now again, these passives aren't set in stone, you can muck around with them and change them if you want, but they're just the ones that I find probably work best. I'd love to have a go on softcore when I've finished the season and work out what's the absolutely optimal setup, but if you're playing hardcore, don't drop your Nerves of Steel, because even though you do have your gold, you've got a lot of toughness in the build, you still don't want to be proccing in T13, you'll just cry, trust me, you will. So in terms of stat priorities, it's definitely CDR, you want to get that as near to 50% as possible. It's not the end of the world if you only end up at say 30 or 35, but the more CDR the better the build functions. Then after that you're going to want Whirlwind damage on your helm and also on your boots, that's a pretty big damage buff. And after that, attack speed, double crits, and then main stat. You don't need to stack any toughness because of the Goldwrap and Boon of the Hoarder, so you want to go full attacking stats. Area damage is also fine. The more density you get, the more that kind of goes off, but really any attacking stats plus cooldown will be fine. You don't need resource cost reduction, so definitely roll that off. But other than that, juice up your damage as much as you can. So that's it guys, it's a really fun build to play. You move super quick, you feel superhuman, and you absolutely trash T13. Be very interested to see how powerful this would be if you juiced it up with legendary gems and augments on all the gear. I reckon you'd absolutely shred through content, but I'm not sure whether I'll get round to that because I do really like playing Charge Barb this season. So that's the build, I hope you like it, I hope this video's been useful. If If you stuck around till the end, thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. I've been the Filthy Casual. Good luck in Sanctuary. Peace.